morning. Thank you for joining me for today's Facebook Live. My name is Tracy Held. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Melbourne in Australia. And this is my regular weekly Facebook Live. The card that we're making today is quite simple, but in my opinion, very effective. That's what we're looking at. And oops, I forgot to stamp inside this one, but we will do that, don't worry. So let's have a look at the products that I'm using. I'm using the Notes of Nature stamp set. So thank goodness they didn't get rid of those because that would have been absolutely terrible. And for the sentiment I'm using Inked and Tiled. Okay, so let's get started. I kind of feel like I have very little for this card because I've only got 3 pieces of cardstock, but it looks like there's much more there, but we're going to make it into more, so don't stress about that. So starting with my top layer, so that's the smaller white piece. Oops, just sorry, I had stuff flying around because I needed my measurements. We're going to mark at 6.6 centimeters. So that's down, that's the middle point here. If you're working in inches, that's going to be, I had it written down, 2 3/8. And then on the other side, I'm marking at 4.3 centimeters or 1.5 inches from both corners. And so now we've done all our markings, and let's pull in my trimmer. So starting with that mark on the left hand side, I'm going to cut from that mark to the top corner. Now I find it easier to start cutting at the straight edge and then go to the corner, because sometimes it crunches up the corner if you cut from that end. And then we're going the same from that mark to the bottom corner. Just trying to see that I've got it in correctly. That one doesn't have a straight edge, so we'll just go top and bottom. And then taking this big triangle that's left, I'm now cutting from my mark to the corner and from the mark to the corner. Okay, so we have a bit of cutting to do here, but it's not too onerous. And there's my piece of paper all cut up. Now let's do some stamping. I'm taking these 2 like oddly shaped triangles, and I just want to make sure that I'm actually sticking it the right way. Okay, so hang on, this becomes a bit like playing with a puzzle, but I just want to make sure that I'm actually stamping on the right side, and I'm trying to put it that I've actually got the wrong side of the paper that I'm going to use, because fortunately with white paper it doesn't matter whether there's a right side or a wrong side. And the only reason that I'm doing that is because I didn't bring an eraser with me, so I just want the other side up so that I can like I said, this is being silly. Okay, but just wanted to make sure that I stamped correctly. Okay, so we're going with these 2 funny shaped triangles, and I'm going to stamp on that. Now this time I'm actually keeping Blackberry Bliss just because I've showed this card to some people yesterday and everybody loved the Blackberry Bliss. So we're going to just keep going with the Blackberry Bliss, and I'm stamping, just random stamping some of these flowers. Now I'm not going all the way to the edge here just because that's all going to be covered up, so we don't need to stamp that. And then splotches. Ooh, didn't do a very good job of splotching that. Let's try that. And maybe just some in the bottom over there. Okay, so those are those stamped. Let's just carry on with all the stamping. Now, just on some scrap paper, I'm going to stamp 3 of these little flowers. Okay. And we're going to stamp 2 of the leaves. Okay. And then on my center bit, we need a sentiment. So this time I'm going to use thank you. And that was why I'd pulled in the Inked and Tiled stamp set, just because there are sentiments in the Nature's Notes of Nature. It's from the Nature's Sweetness suite, but they're all really long. Okay, so you want to make sure that your sentiment is a little bit smaller, because you don't want that you're going to be covering it up with your picture piece, your focal point piece. Okay, so we want a smaller sentiment, and I'm going to try and stamp it straight on that side of the triangle. I don't know how straight that was, but it will be fine. Okay, and maybe just before I put my ink pad away, I'm just going to stamp a little stamp on the inside of my card. So I'm just using that little piece, and because I want this card complete, we'll just stamp that one there. Okay, now I have my inside of that card stamped. Right, so that's all our stamping done. Okay, no, we're not putting the ink pad away just yet. So we're going to go and cut out the leaves and the little flowers with the dies. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just taking my Wink of Stella pen and picking up a tiny little bit of the ink. I don't want this very dark, and remember this Blackberry Bliss is actually a really dark color, so just go a very little bit to color the flowers. And because you're using the Wink of Stella, it's going to give a bit of a sparkle to those flowers as well. Okay, now I'm finished with my ink pad. Now we're going to stick all our pieces onto the front of the card. Let's just check that the glues are working, because as per usual I have a million glues here and none of them will come out. Okay, that one's working. Alright, now just be careful that you put glue on the right side. Ask me why I'm warning you about that one. Okay, so we're going to put, now you can stick these in whatever order you like. I'm sticking the top and bottom, and I've just stuck that the wrong way around, but that's okay, because we'll turn it over that way. I want my points coming to this side No, that's so not okay. How am I going to fix this one? Because otherwise my card is going. No, that's fine. I can turn it upside down. Sorry, you know, you do something and then you get yourself into a huge tiz because you've done the wrong thing, but you can actually just turn it upside down. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Panic over. Now, I stick the top and bottom because I then find it easier to space the lower pieces. I'm just trying to get the top and the sides there even. And then, right, that one's going that way. Like I said to you, trying to figure out which pieces are going what way is fun. And yeah, I did one earlier where I then went and put the glue on the wrong side. Okay, now I'm not too concerned about what's going on here because that's going to be covered. So we're more worried about what's happening on this side because that's the bits that we're going to see. And just to help me get them laid out correctly or kind of spaced evenly, I just like to put them down before I stick them so that I can see the spacing between my strips. Okay, so that looks like that's kind of okay, so we can put glue on. There we go. And again, I'm going to go top and bottom and then we'll slot the middle one in. Hi, Lynette. Lynette had a kind of a sneak peek because I was over at her house this week and I was sitting and trying to figure out these measurements for cutting this piece up, and it just didn't quite get it, but at least I managed to figure it out afterwards because I'm quite pleased with the final result of this card. I'm just wondering whether this would actually qualify as simple stamping, seeing that it is just ink stamps and paper, but I feel like I've done a bit more with the paper, so it's not quite as simple as we would normally go with simple, but simple stamping is what I'm not very good at because I always overcomplicate things. Alright, and then that can just stick straight onto the card base. Now, I've taken this long leafy die and just cut that out of the gold, well, it's the silver, but it's from the gold and silver adhesive backed paper that's in the online exclusives. And we're just going to, so it's just too long for the card. Okay, so I'm going to just cut off this bottom leaf over here and then it will fit perfectly. And of course, because it's got the adhesive on the back, I don't need to worry about messing with glue. And we're just going to stick that all along the side here. Okay, now I have my fourth smallest deckled circle cut out, and I'm going to take my two leaves and just layer them onto that deckled circle. And there's no right or wrong, you can stick them wherever you like or as high as you like. And then my little flowers. But like, I don't know, the weather's cooled down here, so at least it's a lot cooler than it was, but it feels like it's really humid, and it looked like my hand was sweating there, so I smudged the ink, but lucky we can cover it up. Try not to get too much sweaty hands on my flowers. There we go. And some dimensionals. I'll just put those at the back. And then I'm going to stick that so it's covering up that. That's what I was saying to you. I'm not too concerned about that. But you can see, here's what I was saying earlier. You don't want that sentiment too long, because then this is going to cover it. And I've cut out some of the leaves, again, with those Notes of Nature dies. And I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the back here. I'm not sticking the whole thing down because I actually wanted to flap a bit. And we'll stick one. Then it's sitting over there, and I had cut out two, but it looks like the other one's disappeared, so I'm going to put my other one that it's sitting there. Okay, so there we go. That's my card, and I'd be interested to see what it looks like in other colors. But like I say, yesterday everybody was liking the Blackberry Bliss, so I just kept it Blackberry Bliss. Simple, easy, but in my opinion, really effective. Now, I am joining with the Creativity Abounds tutorial team, and we do have a Notes of Nature stamp camp. So I have put the link up in the description, and if you are interested in joining that stamp camp, if you're in Australia, please go and have a look at those details, and you can just place your order and we'll get you added to the stamp camp. If you're in any of the other countries, you can let me know, and I can put you on to one of the other ladies that's in the group. So have a great week, and I will see you again next week. Until then, bye.